Sudah.
Okay. Uh, at this time, we will present an article about the strong architectonic elements of traditional vernacular architecture in Indonesia. Let's see next. The first part is introduction. As you know, Indonesia, which stretches from Sabang to Merauke, has various type of vernacular architecture with different forms and tectonic principle in each region. In the article that we currently describe, discussing the principle of tectonics in vernacular architecture in Indonesia. And in this case, the vernacular architectural vernacular architectural elements will be associated with architectonic, in particular with the element of form and space, uh, as well as the influence of the environment and climate on the structure and materials of traditional house building. With this learning can be referenced in designing buildings and how the transformation from previous vernacular architecture to the modern era today. Next, Desi.
The next about finding, it's about result and discussion. The results of this research are stated into important points. First, about symbiosis of outer transition inner space, and the second about strong elements. Next, about symbiosis of outer transition inner space. So in traditional residential architecture in Indonesia, recognizing space can be understood in form of three space. They are inner space, outer space, and transitional space as a space located in between outdoor and indoor environments, acting as a both buffer space and physical link. So outer space is known as a place of public interaction, while transitional space are like terrace in Javanese houses and other traditional houses. And the last one is the inner space as the core of the building. And then they are can be understood as a unified whole space and illustrates the continuity between space not considered to be independent. Their continuity influenced by the surrounding tropical nature that allows outdoor activities throughout the year. Next. So, in distinguishing these three space, traditional Indonesian architecture does not limit the space by a divider, such as a fence. It is about the activities applied in it. Such public space can be interpreted as a shared space, closed space as a sacred space, and they are connected by terrace or veranda to make a continuity. So you can see in the right right screen there is a traditional house from Batak, Jawa, Bali, and the other traditional house. Next.
Okay, for the strong elements, uh, uh, there are several strong elements in traditional Indonesian architectural buildings, according to architectural comparative studies. The first is biomimesis and geometric. Uh, biomim- Biomimesis and geometric can be seen from the structure and ornament of traditional house. Ornaments are usually found on walls or building facade that aim to beautify the building as well as beautify the building with carving on or colors. For biomimesis, it can be seen from the shape of the roof, the texture of the building, and can be identified through the maze and geometry of the shape in the building, which can be seen clearly on the building plan. Uh, the second, solid void in linear or cluster patterns. For solid voids, it can be seen from the maze of the solid void composition, which is usually a group or linear pattern. Uh, Mass describes the relationship and unity of inner space, outer space, and transitional space in buildings. The third, base element and top element. Traditional house has element of the constituent space. At the top is the roof of the building. Traditional houses in Indonesia have different roof shapes because uh, they are adapted to the natural condition in each region. Um, and next, the center of the building, the body and the building space in covered by walls. In traditional houses, usually use wood as well as wall material, and the bottom of the building are the legs of the building and the foundation. The traditional houses use wood as is its dominant material, so that the protect the building from moisture. The lower structure of the building is elevated like a house on stilts.
So the next strong elements uh, about hierarchy repetition. This is applied to spatial planning, mass planning, and building facades. And the next about natural access. It's about the arrangement of mass and space adapted to the context of the site, which is related to the orientation of the building and its sites as an environmental and ecological awareness approach. So you can see the natural access in the left screen. And the next strong elements, it is the last strong elements about the structures is non-rigid, knockdown, and movable. So the structure is non-rigid. It is a system of swaying structures using pegs and straps as joints in response to earthquakes. You can see the structure is non-rigid in the right screen. Next. So these elements can be developed to obtain a relevant architectural building for both the present and future without neglecting its characteristic as a tropical building. However, there are also limitations that traditional architecture has when it is used for modern building. For example, the limitations of structure in high-rise building. This limitation is not obstacle to continuation of the development of traditional architecture because the representation of the work is done to get new views to expand the previous meaning. Next.
Okay, the conclusion we get from this article, um, architectural work is a symbol of reality and human desire in creative design transformation, which connects old ideas with new ideas of humans in responding to change in a new phenomena. An important element in vernacular architecture is synergy and programming of inner space, outer space, and the transitional space with spatial arrangement that is adjust to the relationship between space in buildings. From vernacular architectural building in Indonesia, the roof element is most considered in the processing of spatial forms because it is adapt to the Indonesian context, which has a tropical climate. Strong vernacular architectural building are made with due regard to natural condition, so that the traditional building structural system in Indonesia vary and differ between region. And the last, vernacular architecture that uh, priorities religious elements in some traditional houses has care has sacred ornaments and make the facade of its building have a deep meaning. Next.
Okay, the next review about how might solve your future work. First, applying research results from vernacular architecture through morphological typology by using strong elements in architectonics to design buildings. And the second one, combining vernacular architecture building elements with modern buildings in this era to preserve culture. And the last review is about how future studies could be improved. First, the architectural history course is one of the ways to gain knowledge of past architecture as a reference for current and future design. And the second, the development of traditional building structures into a more modern form, but still has the same way of working. I think that's all. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, group